Farrell's combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to get you the results you have been waiting for. Join us July 12th for the Summer 10-Week Challenge. Go to fxblincoln.com to enroll today.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Husker fans, the 2025 Nebraska football season is right around the corner, and we need your support in the Sea of Red at Memorial Stadium this fall. You can now purchase a Husker football 3-game mini plan for only $185. This plan includes a ticket to USC plus Akron or Houston Christian and either Michigan State, Northwestern, or Iowa. Tickets are only available while supplies last. Purchase your Husker football 3-game mini plan today, or for more information, visit huskers.com/tickets. Go Big Red.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see a chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny, breezy, and hot with a high near 93. Tonight, showers and storms are likely with a low near 72. And tomorrow, a continued chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny with a light breeze and a high near 89. And meteorologist Kyle Flecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone and Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln with more exciting news for area car buyers.
Charlie, it's just announced that Honda of Lincoln has won 3 of the Lincoln Journal-Star's Lincoln Choice Awards: Best New Car Dealer, Best Auto Repair, and Best Place to Get Your Oil Changed.
Wow, that's great, Andy. Anything else?
Yes, we were runner-up for Best Pre-Owned Dealer and Best Tire Dealer. A lot of people don't understand that we do sell tires here.
Very exciting, Andy. Why do you think your dealership is winning so many awards?
Charlie, we simply say it's the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business.
Looks like Honda of Lincoln is the great news headquarters for Lincoln.
Yes, and even all of Nebraska, we are also announcing that Honda of Lincoln's the only dealer in the state of Nebraska to win the prestigious Honda President's Award for 2024.
Honda of Lincoln, Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Attention baseball and softball players. The Nebraska Dominators are looking to add players to their baseball and softball teams for the 2026 season. Tryouts are happening now for all age groups, ranging from 7 years old to 14 and under for baseball and 7 years old to 18 and under for softball. Visit the Nebraska Dominators Facebook page for more information today.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up?
What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's going on?
How we doing? Am I right?
It's all good in the hood, man. Seeing my dude, look at him, man. Got him a fresh cut. Look at you, man. You know, you like the Mercado. You know what I'm saying? Every type of meat, every type of cut. You got to go into the barber and say, what's up? We are brought to you by the Mercado. Certified Piedmontese, Special Grease, a butcher shop, 84th and High Block, 30th and Yankee Hill, 85th and Old Cheney / Andrew-Matt, and 168th and Maple up there in the O. Me and my man Austin Orman bringing you old school the new school way. Got some things on the horizon. Austin, once again, we'll keep it in the back pocket, man. You know, brother's tired though, but you know what we always got to do. We got to do. But you know, we'll do some NFL news, and then obviously, I think Nebraska. You know, we'll dive in the second segment. Or actually, you know what? We're in Husker Nation. Let's do the big segment and give our overall grade from the little that we know. Or the lot or a little that we know on Nebraska's June. And, you know, I guess I'll go first. I think, you know, I didn't realize how important June was until, you know, I guess it's kind of, I never, you know, really paid much attention, but, you know, that's where you got to make a lot of headway. And so with the, you know, the two different signing periods, transfer portal having different periods, and obviously some schools in college are on, you know, quarter semesters and all that, and you know, different times to be able to transfer, you know, post grad and all that. And then now you got high school kids and camp season. You know, they had you know, a girls camp, then they have the youth camps, and then they have more of exclusive camps, and then they have post grad camps where you just get in where you fit and you're trying to level up. I think recruiting wise, that, you know, Nebraska has made some headway. They had the big 7-on-7 event, brought in the likes of Cam Newton, some highly touted athletes that, you know, played at different clubs throughout the nation. So you're doing a lot of, you know, groundwork, you know, building relationships not only with the players, but their mentors and coaches. And then I'm assuming some of their family members have came in along with them. And then everybody's like, well, we didn't sign or get 20 commits, so it wasn't good. But then, and then, you know, we had our number one recruit or decommit, but then we got a couple linemen. Specifically, big fella out of was it Biloxi, Mississippi. You know, I like that just because I think of Biloxi when you watch those movies and they have those boats that go out there in the river and they got casinos on there. There's always something going on down there. But you know, to spread your path or your recruiting, you know, prowess throughout the nation, all the way down to Biloxi, and nab somebody that was potentially, or everybody assumed he was going to go to Mississippi, probably was what I call the party starter. And then, you know, you were able to get some other big recruits throughout the week, and then or out the month. And I think the momentum is moving in Nebraska's way. And I got a sneaky feeling that they're going to get a couple more before the clock strikes, you know, 12 and turns into the month of July.
I think you're right. I think there's some momentum for Nebraska for a commit potentially on Sunday with an offensive tackle, Claude Mpuma, who they've had on campus. At least one seemed like he had a pretty good visit with Nebraska, pretty good connection with Coach Rule. It's been a fantastic June for Nebraska when you look at what they've been able to do really just in the last 2 weeks. I mean, especially if you go back to the 10th of June, they get Rex Waterman in the class, one of those offensive linemen that you mentioned, interior guy out of Chandler, Arizona, similar area to where Ty Robinson came to Nebraska from, very similar area. So he's on the 10th. Then since then, you've had that Hayden Ainsworth guy about a week later from Biloxi, like you said, Luke Sorensen a couple days after that. And then the big day was on the 23rd. So back on Monday, Jamal Rule, the running back from Charlotte, and then Danny Odom in the fold as well. Defensive back, highly sought after. Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson, Penn State among the schools that were pursuing him. So, yes, it's great that Nebraska has made that headway. The class had started out pretty slow. Only a couple of commits before. I mean, Jace Reynolds, the in-state linebacker, Dayton Raiola, obviously the quarterback position in September. And then the only other guy in the class then was Davion Bonwell-Whitty out of South Dakota. Nebraska needed to get dudes in the class, and I think Nebraska didn't just get guys to fill spots. Nebraska got guys that you can see a role for at the next level in college. But I think Nebraska is closer to finished than it is started. We talked with Brian Munson on Monday or Tuesday about this, and he said he thinks that this 2026 class, with the roster limits that are coming, Nebraska is probably going to be a 15 to 20 high school guy program, not a 25 to 30 high school guy program. That's probably going to be the case outside of Nebraska for a bunch of schools as well. So I think that makes it more important in a couple ways. Number one, you really got to identify who it is that you like. You will be punished much more for missing on the top targets on your board, because they're probably going to be the top targets on a bunch of other people's boards as well. And then when you get those guys on campus, you probably need to have a higher hit rate out of those 15 to 20 guys. I mean, if you hit on 10 out of 25, that's 40%. That's not great, but okay. I mean, you just threw some darts. You had to fill out the bottom of the roster, so be it. But if you're only hitting on 6 out of 15 high school guys out of any given class, that's not going to be sustainable. That's not going to be enough. You got to get contributions, I think, moving forward from, 9, 10, maybe even 12 of the 15 guys in the high school class at some point in their college football career.
Yeah, I think, a good way to look at it, Austin, is if you had, let's just use the word, let's go 16, right? And I think you need to break them up in groups of 4. And maybe your top group, like you said, needs to be 6. And so now you got the other 10, and you can break that into 3 different, kind of categories. Okay, the 6 have to be like our no-brainers. The worst case scenario, they make noise the first, they redshirt, but they make noise in those 4, redshirt games. But you like, oh, that dude, he probably should have played. Maybe like a Riley Van Poppel this year, right? Like you wouldn't have batted an eye if he played all 12 games. So maybe that's your top 6. And then some real contributors will come out of that, right? So Ja'Cory Barney and all those guys, and Dylan Raiola and all that. So that's your 6. So now then you got 10. And the second tier of 10, or of the starting with the second tier of the 10, out of that 16 is you got anywhere from let's say 2 to 5 or 6 of guys that are right on the cusp, maybe need a full year to redshirt, play the 4 games, maybe contribute, a little bit more situationally in the next year. And then you have one guy in there that pops. So then that adds to your top 6 very quickly. And then after that, right, those are got to be your developmental guys, the guys that maybe play roles. And then when you need them, they're called upon. And then if they develop into something, 3 or 4 years down the road, and then you got to really do a really good job of, I think it also for recruiting is they need to have a different category, like post high school, you could look at 15 guys in this 2026 class, right? But then you've recruited, let's say, 100 other guys. Well, you're keeping your eye on however many you came in, number 2 or 3, maybe even 4, for the next year or 2. And then you need to really throw them into the 26 class originally. So if you get a guy that you recruited in 2026 class and you get him in 27 and 28, it should add to it versus adding to the 28 class. You get what I'm saying? Because, and the reason why I say that is because Austin, when everybody got mad at Colorado and what Deion is doing, Deion has been doing this 105 roster thing, very, very small high school classes, more portal guys, and turning them over since he's been there. Now he's had to, based on he has to win quickly and he can't really develop because of the state of the program. And the reason why I say you got to look at it like that, because college football changed more of a Colorado model, especially when that 104 is locked in, not this grandfathered in. And I think the tagging guys as student athletes will go eventually wash away, maybe in 3 or 4 years. And the reason why I think that post high school different like delegation of recruiting is because that's really going to be important for your program. Your high school kids are always going to be your high school kids. The special high school kids are going to be the ones that are going to be able to come in and, make a name for themselves and be like, man, I see why he was a 4 or 5 star recruit, right? It's X, Y, and Z. But you also got to make sure you make hay on the I'll call it post high school transfer portal very quickly. Not the guys that are go play at Duke for 4 years and come. I'm talking about within that year or two, they come back, and the reason why I think that's such an important category, because that gives you another glimpse into recruiting as well, because it's going to, nobody's going to college generally for 4 or 5 years anymore. Number one, kids aren't that invested emotionally and physically to be in one place because they don't have to, right? They've never had to. And then also, guess what the perception of a Jay Foreman that was here for 4 or 5 years? Oh, well, you really weren't that good, and we can always recruit over you. So then you kind of get pushed to the side or shunned. And so I think that's why that middle, 1, maybe 3, if there's a kind of like a little bit of he gets hurt, those 1 to 3 years, is so important, because those are the guys you still can develop in your program. But those are the guys that you maybe lost out on for whatever the circumstances are. And then as you level up in your program, and they have some hopefully good and bad experiences at wherever they're at, they come back and then they pay off 2 or 3 times tenfold after a year or 2 in college.
I like that breakdown. I think that's really informative and instructive. And that leaves me wondering, Jay, where in the future the next Carter Nelson will fall. It's easy to want to take a chance on Carter Nelson as number 1 an in-state guy, a really good athlete, but coming from lower classes where he played in Ainsworth, and a bit of a project, right? Still a track guy, got to grow into his body a little bit during his transition to Nebraska. I feel like tight end is one of those positions where you won't see a lot of quote unquote project guys or a lot of those upside swings, because there's going to be much more opportunity cost to take a guy like Carter Nelson that you hope is going to be good versus a guy that you think probably needs to be good or contribute, right? I think that as we move into this era with maybe, less high school recruiting going on, you're going to see more flyers taken by programs, maybe more spots given to the super big athletic guy that you think can be your left tackle of the future for 3 years. Maybe a freak wide receiver with physical traits that doesn't know the game, but that's a game breaker, right? Maybe the running back with speed or the lengthy edge rusher. I think those are the guys that you're going to see more and more flyers get taken on in college, just like in the NFL, right? Yep. Kyle Pitts is kind of the outlier in the Carter Nelson-ish mold at tight end in the NFL. It worked in college. It hasn't in the NFL for Kyle Pitts, but that's where I wonder if a guy like Carter Nelson, under the new recruiting restrictions, the new roster limits being 105, maybe Nebraska goes and gets him anyways. But if it comes down to, do we take the next Carter Nelson, who we like as a football player, but we got to put a lot of work into it tight end? Or do we take, say, the next Jacob Hood or Elijah that we can get our hands on? I think more programs are going to try to get the swing tackle that could make or break their season, that can develop into that cornerstone more than they will, the center or the running back or the tight end.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, styles make, I always say styles make fights, but styles, is where it also plays a factor in it, right? Because I think if you look at Carter Nelson, as a project just based on, growing up playing 8-man, that's an easy assessment to have. But I think there's not a tight end that comes in out of high school that could play down inline tight end and be an effective blocker. Even some of the biggest guys have problems just because it's just, you're going against grown men. I think the biggest thing that you have to do is whether you're recruiting a Carter Nelson, a Jay Foreman, or Austin Orman out of the portal or whoever, is you got to have a plan within your system, schematically, offense, defense, and special teams, or offense or defense and special teams, to get the most out of them. So the play, I'll say this: when I came in as a rookie, or even I'll say when I was here in Nebraska, starting as a redshirt freshman, my playbook, I'll call it a go zone, was extremely small. Like my size, you get what I'm saying? Like the stuff I had to do, the things that they were able to call, the things that I was able to really, do it effectively to be able to start as a redshirt freshman, right? And this is after a redshirt year, right? So this kind of goes with kind of Carter Nelson, even though his is, by, a couple knick-knack, injuries and stuff, but it's the same thing. He had the red shirt. Then as you move forward, you put a little bit more on your plate. That's when I talk about the recruits, right? That's a second and third tier with him. It's not an athletic ability thing with him because he's in the top tier there. It's more the development and skill set and then fitting into whatever offensive scheme, which happens to be Nebraska, was changed, right? You went from Marcus Satterfield to Coach Dana. And so you got to make sure that you're doing that because you're going to, you want to get the best out of them. And you're completely right. You could maybe get a more established player at the tight end position. And I think tight end is a hard position to evaluate, recruit, because you got a lot of former power forwards from high school and small forwards playing tight end, and the nuances of tight end. And I think people see Travis Kelce, right, coming as a quarterback and he plays tight end. Jason Kelce comes as a linebacker, then it was just easy, right? And you think of some other guys that made the trans, Antonio Gates and all that. Well, I will tell you, people, not to break your hearts, those guys are Hall of Famers. Those are unicorns. Those do not come around every recruiting cycle. Matter of fact, they don't come around every 10 recruiting cycles. So you have to make sure that you dummy down the expectations and then really, really heighten the evaluation and efficiency that you're able to go out and pluck them. And then you have to have combinations of both, right? You got to think of, Bonner, right? Where he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He was a tight end, fullback, kind of. You can have a couple guys like that because the reason why you want those guys, Austin, is because about 3 or 4 games out of the year, you want those guys matched up with the second level defenders. Now, whether it's inside linebackers that can't handle them, in foot speed, or safety / hybrids, or the defensive schematics of a 3-3-5 where they don't have the size to be able to handle them in the run game, or the nickels, right? So say like a Marcus Buford or anybody like that in the slot against a Carter Nelson, where you're able to really reset the edge, right? You talk about being physical. You want to set the edge on defense, where you also have to set the edge on offense, and you're able to do that. And that's probably been a staple, or at least it was a staple, I would say, of Marcus Satterfield or Matt Rule when he was at Baylor, right? There was different ways that they were able to get physical. And Coach Dana said it right from the get-go. On the perimeter blocking is how you're not physical. I think people confuse physicality of like a fullback coming through there 40 times and just blowing a linebacker up.
That's not football.
That's like a once in a. That's you got to catch them slipping. I mean, or you just where you can overpower them like a Coy Schlesinger or something like that. I think physicality is to be able to continue to do the simple things over and over and over at a high rate of obviously speed, force, and power, and then you make you make the other team quit and you break them. And it's execution, it's technique, it's it's all those things in it, and you can do that by essentially taking that edge from outside the tackle, and then you get out towards the hash and the numbers based on your play calling, but then also the size, speed, and force of your athletes.
And that's where I think the Dana Holgorsen effect comes into play as well, because he likes Lindenmeyer. Obviously, like you said, Nelson was dinged up toward the end of the year. Curious to see what Dana Holgorsen does with him. But if Nebraska can run and pass just as effectively out of 12 personnel, that goes a long way. Because the team will see 12 and say, okay, we got to go base. We got to go 4-3. We got to get more linebackers in there. And then you can, have Carter Nelson run around him. Or a team says, you know what, we're sticking in our base nickel, whatever that looks like for us. Nebraska can say, you know what, we trust Lindenmeyer to block. Carter Nelson's going to be more physical than that nickel that's going to be matched up on him. So we can take this opportunity to run the ball. So our versatility, multiplicity, being able to have those multiple skills from the same players goes a long way, because you're right. We saw some of that shift in the NFL as well, right? A lot of cover 2 to prevent the explosive pass plays. So what did the NFL do? A little bit more 12 personnel, but really they ran the ball more effectively than ever out of 11, where you had multiple receivers on the field who could block on the perimeter. You had a tight end who could both block and catch the ball, and good running backs to make guys miss. The NFL didn't all of a sudden go back to, 21 with 2 backs and one of them being a fullback. It was a lot of 11, and teams just got so good at having their tight ends be able to hit a linebacker that they overpowered if it's a side-to-side guy, not a downhill, run-stopping linebacker. They could get their tight ends to the second or third level to a safety, where you don't necessarily have to put bigger, beefier bodies on the field. You just got to commit to having your best guys step up, man up, and block the guy in front of them so you can still establish the run.
Yeah, I mean, one of the teams I used to battle against is your, Indianapolis Colts. Everybody always thought that they weren't, at one point in time they were somewhat of a soft team, but I think that was more based on play calling. You don't have Edgerrin James, Dominic Rhodes, Joseph Adaye, and all the guys that were able to bring in and rush for 1,000 yards in big time games against very, very physical teams like the Patriots and not be physical yourself. And the reason why I bring Indianapolis up when Peyton Manning was there, and obviously a little bit when Andrew Luck is there, is because the way that they went about being physical was my best friend, Marcus Pollard, out there in the slot. You had other guys that even Marvin Harrison Sr. would block. He would position block, right? He knew when they needed Reggie Wayne will get there. Stokely would do a little something, and obviously Ken Dilger and all those other guys, along with the linemen and stuff. They weren't the Quentin Nelsons, but they were able to provide some physicality there, really to keep them on schedule, and then obviously be very, very explosive. So, however Nebraska adapts that moving forward is going to pay dividends. And back to recruiting, you have to recruit different body types and styles in order to keep defenses guessing, but then also provide some advantage, because there's going to be a time where you play against a team, you're not going to be able to line up and like Michigan last year, their defensive line was so good. You're not going to be able to blow those guys up, or the year before, that you weren't going to be able to, blow those guys over. So you have to find a different way to attack the defense to soften up the middle when you do need to run it. So that'll do it for the first segment. I wanted to jump into what it means to be a player-led team. So I think the first segment, or the first part of the next segment, we'll talk a little bit about that, because then I think it boils right over into Aaron Rodgers and his statement before he even played a game. He's seeing the end of the rainbow before he even got on it to get he hadn't even got the pot of gold yet. Being player-led team versus going to a team that, professionally, Aaron Rodgers, an organization that historically has been a player-led team, even though they have an iconic coach in Mike Tomlin and Bill Cowher. It's always been a player-led team. I'm Jay Foreman. That's Austin Norman. We're the old school, the new school way. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more. Attention baseball and softball players. The Nebraska Dominators are looking to add players to their baseball and softball teams for the 2026 season. Tryouts are happening now for all age groups, ranging from 7 years old to 14 and under for baseball and 7 years old to 18 and under for softball. Visit the Nebraska Dominators Facebook page for more information today.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone and Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln with more exciting news for area car buyers.
Charlie, it's just announced that Honda of Lincoln has won 3 of the Lincoln Journal-Star's Lincoln Choice Awards: Best New Car Dealer, Best Auto Repair, and Best Place to Get Your Oil Changed.
Wow, that's great, Andy. Anything else?
Yes, we were runner-up for Best Pre-Owned Dealer and Best Tire Dealer. A lot of people don't understand that we do sell tires here.
Very exciting, Andy. Why do you think your dealership is winning so many awards?
Charlie, we simply say it's the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business.
Looks like Honda of Lincoln is the great news headquarters for Lincoln.
Yes, and even all of Nebraska, we are also announcing that Honda of Lincoln's the only dealer in the state of Nebraska to win the prestigious Honda President's Award for 2024.
Honda of Lincoln, Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
4th of July weekend is coming soon, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? A dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble your grill so it can look and perform its best. Visit their website, huskergrillcleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Are kids better off in an intact family? You bet they are. This is Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Kids living in a household with married parents do better in school, they're emotionally healthier, and they're more likely to stay out of trouble with the law. If you're in a troubled marriage, of course you should do everything you can to save your marriage, if only for your kids' sake. This includes considering alternatives to divorce. Of course, in some circumstances, divorce is unavoidable. In either case, if you're a man facing a crisis in your marriage, let us help you at Cordell & Cordell. Remember, we're the partner men can count on.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln, Cordell & Cordell, 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68508.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, we're back. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, old school to new school way. I wouldn't even say that. We're just old school, Austin. You just young. You just wet behind the ears, man. But, we didn't get to jump into it because we had a great segment talking about what Nebraska's been able to do in June from the little that we know and what it could mean and the options. And I'm sure, there's plenty to be written and talked about it over time, considering that we're right around the corner. Before this party gets started for those young men trying to, live up to the, expectations put upon them by millions and millions of Go Big Red fans, but then also live up to the daily standards that they have set for themselves, internally. And the reason why my point is that Dylan Raiola was, I don't know where he was being interviewed. He said, this year, it's a player-led team. Everything. I think I don't want to, misspeak, but I think he said everything runs through them, which is good. I think one of the things that we had, Jack Stark and Coach Osborne and those guys, had the Unity Council. I'm sure they have some sort of it. there, and it was a bunch of, it wasn't a bunch of guys. It was a select few. You had to be kind of, well respected and do the right things on and off the field and in the community, to, give the coaches a good pulse of the team, but then also protect the coaches from the pulse of the team, by regulation in that locker room. And I always talk about the story of when I was a redshirt freshman. I was lucky enough I wasn't of age to go down O Street, or better yet, the thing was I probably didn't have a good enough fake ID. Just playing. And there was some stuff going on for, probably before that preceded to me getting here. And Christian Peter and the other leaders of the team, and I think it was 1995, stood up and said, listen, don't worry about the coaches. If we catch, wind of anybody breaking curfew on a Thursday, we had Thursday night curfew, and, Coach Osborne always said 2 nights before the game is the most important sleep, because everybody's going to be, amped up and, a little bit, nervous the night before the game. You'd have to answer to Christian. I think that, and it was other guys too. I think that, Clinton Childs and those guys, I think it really set the tone of what a player-led team could be. But it's not just that in times of adversity. I think it's also in times of trying to reach the standard on a daily basis that you set upon yourself. And then also living up to those expectations individually and then collectively as position groups and offense and defense and special teams. It's interesting that a relatively young team, younger led team, right? Sophomore quarterback. I'll say Emmett's very young in as far as like experience, right? He's played some, but this is going to be his first year being the guy. And you got some new guys on the block, which provides some more senior laden leadership, and obviously Dane Key and Rocco and those guys, right? And you just say Elijah Pritchard, because assuming he's going to try to do one and done here. But the younger guys, Ja'Cory Barney and all those guys, decided to step up and, take this team by the reins. And that'll be interesting to see where it goes. And people always ask, what does that mean? That means, what it means is, in my opinion, is that you guys have taken, or hopefully have taken the blueprint that Matt Rule has set forth very clearly over the last 2 years. And this is probably what maybe he's pushing them towards. And you've made that blueprint your own, and then that turns into, in quotes, the new catchphrase, culture, and then you use that and live that. Now it becomes you, though. Culture isn't something that you just do when you walk into the stadium or practice facility. It's just who you are. It's just like I always say, if a team's physical, everything they do is physical. So, for this team right here, it'll be interesting to see how they go upon that, and then they're really going to need that player-led leadership when they, face some adversity, whether that's in camp, getting through some hard practices and not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, or being able to, really, really come together and pull out a game where they might not be playing their best, but ultimately the best is all that matters is when you win versus losing.
I'm glad you went there with the Matt Rule blueprint. That's kind of where I was going to head, because I think a big piece of the player-led part of this is understanding, first and foremost, what it is that your coach wants you to accomplish. Number 2, how he expects you to accomplish it. And then number 3, the why and the importance behind the how. Because player-led leadership, you think about it, on the field, hey, work harder. Hey, do another workout with me, right? Come alongside, come catch passes, come hit the sled one more time, whatever it is. Yes, that's leadership as well. But then it boils down to the locker room. How are you treating your teammates? How are you interacting with them? Are you handling your business as a teammate? Player-led leadership is in the classroom. Hey, are you?
Right.
Hey, I didn't see you today. Hey, are you understanding this assignment? Hey, I had a question with this. I know you're a smart guy. Can you help me? And then it's, in the community, right? How are we representing Nebraska? Are we handling our business in the public, in the community as very forward-facing individuals, right? I mean, it's easy to think that player-led leadership starts and stops when you enter the doors and exit the doors of the new training facility. That's couldn't be further from the truth. But it's one thing to say you have player-led leadership and to want it. Every team says that it does. But I think you really start to see it come to fruition when you have that alignment between your head coach and maybe sometimes it's the best players. I think ideally for player-led leadership, the ones that are setting the example and holding people to account. But whoever those most important players are, those most important voices in the locker room, they live up to their standard. They know what coach wants, why he wants it, and just how important it is to accomplish it. And that's where, Jay, I don't know if you've seen these questions. I've seen it pop up on our text line every so often here as we're early in the summer. The single-digit guys. I don't know how many slam dunk single-digit guys there are. There are quite a few of them that left from last year, and a lot of them off that defensive side of the ball. That's, I think, where Matt Rule wants the player-led leadership to start for Nebraska. I think he's done that for a while, and that's where he wants it to start from. But those 10 guys can't be the end of player-led leadership. Whether you're your guy number 1 or your guy number 135, whatever it is on Nebraska's roster, you got to lead in your own way. Some will be more forward-facing. Some will be you just lead by taking care of your business. Every player has to take accountability for themselves. Every player has to make sure that they're in alignment with what it is their coach, expects from them and why he expects it of them. And then that's when I think you start to see that player-led team really come to fruition.
Yeah, I don't think there's one, way to do it, and I think some of it has to do with, how you go about your business. Be the best version of you. My whole thing is sometimes when I go talk to the high school coaches and teams and say, be your own All-American, be the All-American you. That's what they need. They need the best version of you. And so, really the one thing that I think is going to be interesting for just not only Nebraska, but kids in this generation, to be a player-led team and everything goes through you. That means you got to push buttons. Hey, that means you have to push buttons. And I'm going to tell you, man, whether it was the competition level or just we did not want to lose, the type of things that you might say in the heat of battle cannot be taken personally. And it's there to motivate you. And if you're not pulling your weight, I don't care how the message is delivered because your feelings are out the door. You have to listen to the message. You have to not hear the message. You got to feel the message. You can be mad in the moment because that's emotional. And I want you to be mad because that lets me know that you care. But reality knows it's coming from a good place because it's never personal. It's business, and our business is going out there on Saturday or whenever we play and kicking butt. And at the end of the day, when you do accomplish your goals, say Nebraska, whatever their goals are, they meet them. And there was a couple times you have a couple of dust ups, both good and bad, right? And those aren't just me getting on you when you ain't playing good. Those are also encouraging you when you're too hard on yourself. You get what I'm saying? And then we're all, say we're at a bowl game or whatever, or they're at a bowl game, and then they're looking back on some of the success that they've had. They ain't worried about what you said in August when you're in the middle of 2 days. You're actually thinking like, you know what? I'm glad you actually, I trust you enough to really, be there for me, and vice versa. And also, it just doesn't go top down. What I mean is, it doesn't go from your star players down to your guys that are just trying to figure it out, right? I call it walk and chew gum. It can go from those guys on up because the standard is the standard. It doesn't have a name, face, jersey number, or how long you've been in Nebraska. And as far as the single numbers go, if it's it might change. It might have to be across the lines this year. They might not want to give up their numbers. They might be single digit in practice, but they got, they feel like during the game, like for me, like I'll say I wore, 44 if I was a single digit or whatever it was. And I mean, obviously we didn't do it, but to say I was here and I was, and that's my number, it's a family number. I'll be a single digit during practice if that's a possibility. Or I know I'm a single digit because of how I do, go about my business every day for the betterment of the team. And then come Saturday, I'm that number 44 is going to represent. So I think the single digit number isn't I guess when you look at it, it's more action based. That you get what I'm saying? Sure. So if for me, now you highlight those guys because that's your leaders, right? And that's true. And that's what you want. So I'm not going off on it. But what I'm saying is you want more than just 10 guys. You get what I'm saying? I want at the end of the year, I want to be having 30 because we're all pushing the same way. What do I say? We're operating individually, thinking collectively. So if you can get more than that moving forward, I think it'll be a pretty special year.
I mean, you want to have that guy, that go-to guy in every room, and then he should probably be mentoring someone, and then they should probably be mentoring someone because everyone's at a different spot in their journey as a football player, as a leader, as a teammate. So I think it's ideal if every voice has that one guy that's going to speak for the room, not in a commandeering, dominating sort of way, but in a, hey, I have the pulse of this room. They trust me. I've put in the work to get to know each and every one of these guys. So if there is something wrong, if there's something that we like, either way, if anyone's going to speak to coach on behalf of a room, it's going to be me. I'm going to take on that responsibility. Big Bang Hank on the text line says he doesn't like the single digit number thing. Just give them a C on their chest for captain and let's go. But I think that goes to Jay's point, right? This coaching staff does things a little differently. They reward with the single digit numbers. They think that's the way to do it. I don't mind the game captains sort of thing where they switch it up every week. I would probably prefer some more consistency, right? Where I would rather, among those single digits, pick 4 of those guys. But it is kind of cool, right? Bryce Benhart, Emmett Johnson go back home to Minnesota. They're game captains, right? They probably got family and friends there. I get what they're going for. It's pretty cool, but I would do it a different way. I'm not in charge of the football team, so more power to them as long as it works, right? If it works and Nebraska plays well, we don't care about these conversations. It works. Congratulations. Keep going. We get to celebrate it. That's really what I think we all care about.
Yeah, I think that, the single digit thing is obviously new. And look, we've had new things in the way coaches have done things in the past. Bo Pelini, I don't think he handed out all the black shirts. I mean, the guys just did it differently. They would wait maybe till the 4th week of the season. They got single digits, and that became a fad. Numbers are a big deal to players. It's no different than the NBA and in NFL as well. So, I like the game captain things. And, one thing I'll say, Austin, as long as we don't have a Jaheir Alexander anointing himself a captain when he was a Green Bay Packer, it was playing down here in Charlotte, and said, you know what, you didn't know that I'm a captain. Well, I'm a captain now, and I'm calling the coin toss.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, I'm the captain now. So, as long as we don't have those type of guys running out there being captains when they're not supposed to, I think it's all good. But I will tell you this. I'll tell you my experience with it. When we were in Buffalo, we knew who our captains were. They were the leaders. Obviously, you had all of them were like Hall of Famers, and even the guys like Ted Washington, they were the captains of the locker room. When I got to Houston, we did kind of it was like a week by week thing. But then when we really started to play some really good team, we always kind of play good defense, and we started to get kind of the other two going together. Is that we had kind of a guy per room or guys per room, and then we had generally about 4 to 6 guys that would go out there, and then obviously, if we're playing somewhere and somebody's from, their hometown, we obviously want to make sure that they get to go and get their just due. So I think it could be adjustable, but also I think when you say you're a player-led team and everything goes through it, this is some of the things that you have to make sure that you make those decisions with or for, and then you live with it, both good and bad. So anyways, we're going to take a quick break, come back. We'll talk about my main man, Aaron Rodgers, already saying this is going to be his last year. Is it his last year, or is he setting it up that if he plays well, the Pittsburgh fans and players beg him to come back for one more year? Jay Foreman, Austin Norman. We'll be right back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Are kids better off in an intact family? You bet they are. This is Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Kids living in a household with married parents do better in school, they're emotionally healthier, and they're more likely to stay out of trouble with the law. If you're in a troubled marriage, of course you should do everything you can to save your marriage, if only for your kids' sake. This includes considering alternatives to divorce. Of course, in some circumstances, divorce is unavoidable. In either case, if you're a man facing a crisis in your marriage, let us help you at Cordell & Cordell. Remember, we're the partner men can count on.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln, Cordell & Cordell, 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68508.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, and the hail sale has been a huge success, but is winding down. We still, though, have several units with huge discounts. Plus, we have brand new Sierras, $14,000 off list, or starting at $37,105, or 0.9% APR on select new models. Yes, you heard right. $14,000 off or 0.9% APR on new Sierras starting at $37,105. So please check us out at CoppellCars.com. All deals with roof credit, stock number G289358.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Attention baseball and softball players. The Nebraska Dominators are looking to add players to their baseball and softball teams for the 2026 season. Tryouts are happening now for all age groups, ranging from 7 years old to 14 and under for baseball and 7 years old to 18 and under for softball. Visit the Nebraska Dominators Facebook page for more information today. Don't wait for Lincoln's fireworks stands to open up. Get the good stuff at Roca Crazy Cracker in downtown Roca. Stop in from June 25th through July 4th for the hot spot for rockets and more this Independence Day. Open 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. It's Roca Crazy Cracker Fireworks in downtown Roca.
Western Sand and Gravel is hiring for a variety of positions at their sand and gravel plants near Ashland. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Available positions include plant operators, dredge operators, and shop service technicians. They offer great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, paid holidays, and paid time off. No matter your experience level, on-the-job training is available to help you build a rewarding career with Western Sand and Gravel. Start your career today. Visit westernsand.com.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back once again. Jay Foreman, Austin Orman. Quick segment before we turn it over to my main man, Bill Michener, in the Lights House on Wednesdays. But we can't go a week without my man Aaron Rodgers. I think it's going to amp up. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is starting to feel comfortable in Pittsburgh, but I think the interesting thing from him. And look, when you've been playing and been as good a player, a great player as he's been throughout his whole career, and you're up, over 40, it's a natural question. So, his answer is actually very, very honest, and you got to respect, a superstar like that, keeping it real. And maybe that's one of the reasons I think that this year with Pittsburgh will work out significantly better than with the Jets. And he just said, look, Before the season started, this is probably the last one. I know he just recently got married, and might want to put more time into that. And I know he's very good on the air and with Pat McAfee and stuff. So, but I guess I can't tell him what to do. Obviously, he's a well established player and about only on and off the field with the media as well. But what if you make a magical run? What if you and DK Metcalf and Mike Tomlin, you finally get that mix that you were hoping for with the Jets, but you already have one foot out the door, and anytime you get sacked, you're like, man, I can't wait for it to be week 17 or 18. I just wouldn't say it. I would just say, hey, look, I'm going to make sure this is the best year I can do, and I'll make it after that. But Aaron Rodgers, I just want to know what you thought about that, Austin, considering, it took him so long to sign, and then also he's ready to sign off already before the season started.
Yeah, I think it's a little dangerous for Pittsburgh. I'm sure they had some inclination of that before they signed him, so I'm sure this wasn't a surprise to them. And like you said, it shouldn't be surprising to anyone, as the man is 40 plus years old, playing the most violent collision sport, on this side of the Atlantic, or Pacific, depending on which way you go. Like it's a collision sport. It's a violent sport. Even with all the rules, Aaron Rodgers is going to get hit. He's going to get popped. And I'm sure Mike Tomlin is prepared for that challenge. I think that's a guy I would like to have motivating a guy with one foot out the door. I think Mike Tomlin still does have that kind of touch with players where you know how invested he is. So you can't help but be invested yourself. He's given the organization everything he has, so you're going to as well. Maybe it's a little dangerous to say probably my last year, but I don't think it's necessarily a shock. And that's why I think, Aaron Rodgers has to say something. It's the Aaron Rodgers of it all. Left the door open enough to where if there is a magical run, maybe he comes back. But is Aaron Rodgers the type of guy that would see the magical run to the AFC second round, which is really what would be a magical run for Pittsburgh right now, is winning the wild card round, getting to the divisional round? Is Aaron Rodgers the guy that would want to come back for one more, or is he the guy that would retire relatively close to on top, go out, kind of as a mini hero in Pittsburgh? I tend to think that Aaron Rodgers would hang it up after this year if he leads them to a playoff win. I don't think he's the type of guy to stick around and overstay his welcome.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it would change, but I think depending on how that second round, loss went, I think if he plays really, really well and he sees like, okay, this team is starting to come together, I can see him do it. But if it's one of those ones where it's a stinker, kind of like Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, which I think Tommy Brady wishes he probably came back for another year too. I also think that's in the back of Aaron Rodgers' head too, because all those quarterbacks talk. Like Tom Brady probably telling him, hey, dude, I definitely wanted to play a couple more years. I made a move, what I thought was for the betterment for the whole. The problem about that hole, the hole had a bottom out in it. It didn't work out for Tom Brady. It worked out for Tom Brady, but not the way, the field that he wanted. So I think it's interesting. I think I can see Aaron Rodgers. I'm telling you this. I could see him having a magical year and riding off into the sunset. And we'll see. But what we're doing, we're riding off into the sunset on ours with old school. But the beacon of light is next. Lighthouse Wednesday with my main man, Dollar Bill Missioner. Stay tuned. But for Jay Foreman, Austin Orman, old school, we'll holler at you tomorrow.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled